Dicen que el peor enemigo de un mexicano es otro mexicano. Yo te invito a que empecemos a cambiar esta ideología y que nos apoyemos. Somos mexicanos y somos un chingo, y donde la rifa uno, la rifamos todos.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres Herrera, and you are watching or listening to the JTH show. Today, I want to talk about why is it that the worst enemy of a Mexican is another Mexican. But first, roll the intro. Okay, make sure that you also catch the show, if you cannot stay here and watch the whole thing, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. And if you don't mind, it really helps the show if you just take 2 seconds to just hit that like button. Really, really does. Okay, so let's get on with the show. This one is an interesting one. So I know there's a lot of other news happening in the world. Quite frankly, just feels like everything is revolving around the damn U.S. election, and I didn't want to get deeper into that. I mean, there's just a lot of speculation, and honestly, enough of that. However, watching some videos that I came across on TikTok, specifically the one you guys caught right before the show there, you know, it started, I don't know, just moving the gears in my head again. You know, sometime back I covered in Spanish an episode called El Mexicano es Racista. And it's basically, are Mexicans racist, right? And in that video, I mentioned a couple details, right, of why, also seen other YouTube videos, there might be some truth to that, right? What is it with us, the Mexicans, that for some reason we're just fascinated by anybody that doesn't resemble us? Now, today's episode specifically is more along the lines of talking about, are we our own worst enemies, right? Now, that is true, right? That phrase on itself is true. Sometimes you if you've ever attended counseling, or if you've ever seen any of the motivational videos, you'll hear people say that, to kind of get you off your ass and say, hey, stop putting yourself down and yada, 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 you're your worst enemy. Now, of course, again, that is true to a certain extent, but in this particular example, I'm more so referring of one Mexican with another, right? Or just in general speaking, the Mexican culture, population against Mexicans. Now, this also, by the way, can be true for other cultures, all within the what now is called, somehow they grouped us into the Latinx, which, by the way, I don't like. That's my opinion. We can get into that later, but whatever, right? It could be part of, someone tell me from, I don't know, the Puerto Rican culture, dude, it's the same thing you're about to say. It's the same with us, or again, in any other culture that's considered Latino. Now, I can speak as a Mexican, which is why I'm talking about this. And to start, let me say that I'm not the only one that has ever said this. That's actually a saying, right? Actor Diego Boneta said it once in an interview, eluniversal.com.mx, had an article sometime back, saying of the actor, saying that, also you have Alan Pulido, who is a soccer player, also came up, in an article in mediotiempo.com, where he said, hey, again, el peor enemigo de un mexicano es otro mexicano. Why is that? Well, in this case, you have Diego Boneta, who, by the way, if you guys don't recognize him, he has played in several notable roles in some movies, but also has recently starred as the main actor in the series for Luis Miguel, which it's kind of weird. Not going to get into why. He, in that article, he was saying because back then there was an actress, which funny enough, I also covered in my video that I was mentioning to you guys just a minute ago, an actress that, comes from a very indigenous background or has a very indigenous background. And, she looks, call it not, as traditionally beautiful as again in Mexico, you see many actresses, that they look, tall, very slim, very pale, right? Sure, Latinas maybe, but very, very, very pale, right? And this actress that he was presenting an award to didn't, right? She just looked very, very different. And, he was saying while he was presenting that, hey, it's sad that the worst enemy, again, for a Mexican is another Mexican. And the actress here that I'm going to put up is Yalitza Aparicio, where, again, he was there with her. And he was, because he's there with her, he's saying, there's a lot of hate towards this lady, and it really came down to the color of her skin. Okay, so the moving on to Alan, the soccer player that I was telling you about, he said that because they lost a match. And for those of you guys that may not know this, in Mexico, they take soccer, many people, they take it very, very serious. They take it almost as serious as some people take football, American football here in the U.S., right? And, they lost, I guess, and then he felt like everybody, went after his neck. So he's like, damn, dude, like, instead of uplifting us and saying it's okay, another game, we'll have another game next time. It's like, you're the worst football player. Quit right now. And it's, that's why he stated that. Now, I'm gonna say this before I get into other examples. Let me say this. It is something that came to my head. Who knows if other scholars have said this in books, but something that came to me, and I can't shake it. And that is that, in 1821, right, when Mexico won its independence from the Spaniards, right? Spaniards came and for 11 years tried to conquer Mexico, right? They inflicted a lot of their culture, right? To begin with, their religion. And again, many other things. But ultimately, they lost, right? They Mexicans, a lot of them, they feel very, very happy. They feel very proud of saying, yeah, we kicked their asses. We sent them in their ships right back. That's a thing. That might have happened, but they actually never really left, right? The Spaniards came. They definitely conquered. And sure, they might have lost ultimately the war in 1821, but they never left. Why do I say that? Well, just doing quick searches, right, of very famous singers and just figures that have made it, you can kind of say, due to Mexico, and in Mexico for that matter. It just, again, takes a quick Google search. You can do it yourself. I came across people that, now that I think about it, yeah, a lot of Mexicans just adore, love, and again, they're like, they're put up in pedestals, right, as these individuals that they put Mexico's name, en alto, and which I don't understand, right? And that is people like, ready? Enrique Iglesias, Julio Iglesias, which is the father, Alejandro Sanz, Ricky Martin, David Bisbal, Placido Domingo, right? And I know a lot of people are about to jump and be like, how dare you say that? Miguel Bosé is like, stop it. Rocío Dúrcal, oh, how dare you? You went too close, JT. You went too deep. I'm sorry, but it's true, right? A lot of these individuals, sure, they've sang great songs that, some of them I'm pretty sure I sang along too, right? But it doesn't take away from the fact that the ones that we have, right? The ones that sometimes we're known for, even on Google, they're not even really Mexican, right? Shakira, there's another one. So why is that? Well, yes, while we do have our own, right, famous, and I will say this, somewhat old, right? Not anybody new, recent, right? And I challenge you to think about someone right now other than Rick. We have Vicente Fernandez, Juan Gabriel, Selena, which is, a lot of people will be like, I don't know, dude. She's from Texas, of Mexican parents, but sure. But according to Google, Selena, Thalia, and then it's funny. I literally put famous Mexican singers. Luis Miguel. By the way, if it's a news break for you, Luis Miguel is not Mexican. Did we adopt him? I guess. We even gave him El Sol de Mexico, right? Which, again, we gave someone that is not even Mexican. By the way, Luis Miguel, according to Wikipedia, was born in Puerto Rico. Like people are like, liar, blasphemy, JT. I'm sorry. I know that we made him famous. I say we as in Mexicans because I mean, I know him for being famous in Mexico. I don't know him for being famous in Puerto Rico or from where his parents were in Spain. I know him for being famous in Mexico. But the guy is, everything of him is not. Sure, maybe being in Mexico makes him Mexican, I guess, if you want to get romantic. And if you just want to win this argument with me, yeah, I guess, okay. But it goes to show, right? Right? It's sad. You know, we have again, to continue the list real quick, other famous individuals: Jose, Alejandro Fernandez, Pedro Infante, Antonio Aguilar, Javier Solis. But you notice the names that I'm mentioning, again, all through a quick Google search, okay? That Google themselves, based on their algorithm, I don't know that it'll be any different in many other countries, like to the top, the names that rise to the top are, at least genuine Mexican, are very much older artists, right? Very old figureheads. Maybe back then, maybe the old generation, which is my point, by the way, used to really support and really gather around their people, right? But notice a lot of these names are not really new upcoming artists. The upcoming artists that I found are people like Maluma, and people I'm like, people don't like reggaeton, which, by the way, he's not Mexican. Maybe he sings in Spanish, but he's not Mexican. He's Colombian, right? You have a lot of other artists. Well, what happens, and my point today is, I've noticed that it is very true. It's a very true sentiment among many young Mexicans like myself, where sure, you might get support and people might want to, like they say, rub shoulders with you once you made it, right? And that's actually what I was talking to my wife a minute ago, right? But before we start, I always brainstorm. I'm like, you know what? Commonly you see, the support of Mexico it's almost like a checklist, and it's a really shitty checklist. It's like, okay, well, let's find out first. Do you happen to have Spanish blood? How about Spaniard? What do you call them? Facciones. What is that? What's the English word? Now I'm stuck in Spanish, really. Factions? Is that what we call it? Whatever, things that make you look. Thank you. Facial features. It's like, ooh, well, you're kind of brown. You're kind of short. Okay, no. So that's a no. Rich? No. Okay. Are you famous already by chance? No. Damn. See, I wish I could support you, right? But yeah, the eyes, of course. Always the eyes, right? And it's like, you're pretty? No. So, damn, how can I support you? You just look like another Mexican. It's cold. But a lot of times it's like that, right? I have had a lot of conversations with people that say, dude, don't expect any Mexican to support your business. When I had a business in Mexico, like, if anything, they'll try to steal from you. They'll try to tag up your place, sue you. I mean, they'll do the worst. Yeah, they'll do the worst to you, right? But wait a minute. If it was like an American company, it's almost like a pride. Like, oh, I work at, I don't know, so company, right? I'm not gonna bash any American companies right now. That's not the point of this. But and it's true. I would hear people, propped up themselves really, really proud because they were working. They finally landed a job. Okay, here, I'll say it. It's just like a Google, oh, I landed at Google. And it's like, but saying I work at Calimax is like, oh, I work at Calimax. It's very sad, right? That even with having at one point or another, someone like Carlos Slim, right, who's a Mexican, who achieved to be at one point or another for a few years, the spot of richest man in the world, it was still not good enough, right? Mexico can be a powerhouse, can be a global power. It really can. I really do believe it. I don't want to be romantic like I accuse people of being. I actually believe that. And I believe that when you look at the map, right, when you bunch the Latins, the Latinos, Latinx, I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect, all right? But a lot of people, if you were asked, anybody in the street, hey, point out where Venezuela is. Some people would be like, South America? do you know immediately where? You know, Colombia sure is kind of big, so it kind of jumps out. Peru, you know, Salvador. Some people be like, yeah, it's somewhere there. I really can't point it out. But you know what? Most people can't point out immediately. Mexico. Now, again, this is no disrespect. It's just because it's so big. It's big. It's not tiny. It's not a tiny country. A lot of people make it out to be a tiny country and like, oh, they're bunched up with the Latinos, the Latinx. Which is why I hate that. Because it's a shame that for as big as it is and the potential that it has, the people in it, many, not all, because, you know, there's always exceptions, right? I'm sure there's some phenomenal people out there always giving to the community, always trying to support fellow creators that are Latino, or Mexicans, rather, Mexicans, right? I know I'm one of them. I do it all the time to the guy, the video that you saw at the beginning. In fact, let me give him a shout out right now, right? I want to show that, I'll put my money where my mouth is, right? So this individual, which if you guys choose to, if you guys want to, I recommend that you do. Go follow him if you have him on TikTok. In fact, you can even go on Apple Podcasts and download his album, right? His at on TikTok is at Hector del Norte, right? And his album is on Apple on iTunes. I downloaded it. You know, is the music just what I like? No, you know, he mixed in, you know, he says, you know, Mexican kind of like mariachi somehow with reggaeton. It's new, whatever, man. That's cool. That's what you want to do. Go for it, right? Again, not saying I'm gonna be blasting something in my ears every day, but I did it to support, right? I've done it to other people like Alfredo Alvarez, right? He's known in Tijuana, but you know, from this way over here in Texas, you know, I spread, hey, there's a guy that you know does news and might agree with some of his points, you might not, but hey, here's one of his latest shows or something, right? I support him. Same can be said with someone like El Blue, a guy that is also in news in Tijuana, right? Again, it's just showing that, right? Support. And again, those are the people that I believe might be around in Mexico, but I think the vast majority are not. I think the vast majority, okay? The vast majority of people, unfortunately, for some reason have this inherited negativity of their own culture, of their own race, right? Here's an example. What do we do when someone loses weight? Sometimes some of us will be like, oh, great for them. That's not often the case. Often the case, it's like, ay, qué flaca, meaning, oh, you're so skinny. And it's like, if you get weight, it's like, ay, qué gordita. You know what I mean? If you buy something that's really nice, you're fucking trying to show off. You bought that for this barrio? You bought this for this? Yeah. They're going to steal it from you. I hope they steal it from you. It is, you know. And listen, you want to be like, dude, well, maybe that's just like your family. I've heard it. I've said it before in other videos. I've heard it from other strangers. I've heard it from random Mexicans, right? In stores, in neighborhoods. It's just that negativity that we cannot shake off. You know, we don't want to support, again, unless the person looks, mira qué bonito, está guapo. Or they have money. It's like, how can I benefit? Can I get some? ¿Me das? Or it's like, oh, they're already famous. Oh, no, they're my cousin, bro. They're my cousin. I know them. They're actually not my cousin. They're like the cousin of a friend, but we grew up together, so we're like family. It's like that, right? It's very sad. You know, when do you finally, cuando te coleas? When you finally be like, no, I'm totally with them. I'm totally with them. It's when they already made it. Which by then, it's like, well, who the fuck wants your support by then? You know, when you're already someone, you can say, right? Which is why a lot of times you see when you have people argue like, oh, there's never anybody, you know, of Latinos or Mexicans that are anything in politics in the U.S. I wonder why. It's because the white man. No, it's not because of the white man. It's not because of the black man. If you guys didn't know this, you had Latinos run for the presidency. Yeah. You're like, who? You cannot count Beto O'Rourke because he's been an apostle forever. I only know this because I researched him. You can't count someone like I don't know, like let's see here. The guy, God lost his name. I brought him up to the day. Huh?
He's a guy that Trump used to make fun of him. It doesn't matter. If I remember his name, I'll put his face here. But I gave him props recently because he's the one that grilled the social media dude. But anyways, right? Because he has I think he's like from Colombian or Cuban. So people dismiss it because like he's been here for so long. Okay, fine. But here's my point. You have someone like Julian Castro, right? Who is actually very, very Mexican and tried to go for the presidency, right? Do you know how much support he got? Some of you guys listening to this still, you're like, I have no idea who that is. Exactly my point, right? Exactly my point. But you guys all know who freaking stupid names are like Trump. You can't get that out of your freaking mind in your mouth because you're letting, for the vast majority, the media just shove it down your throat, right? Now it's a discussion right now, literally a big discussion between you want to support one old white dude or another. I'm sorry. It's like that. But where were you not even a year ago when Julian Castro was trying to run for something? A lot of people weren't there. And unfortunately, it's very real for a lot of things, right? The support is just not there. There's more hate. There's more hate to be spread, against someone that maybe looks like me, right? That looks maybe a little darker than me. But it's just like, it's because, if you just look like Chris Hemsworth, just a little bit, I see tall and strong, and it's just like, it's like, but you don't. You look like Gorge Lopez. Which, speaking of, thank you for bringing him up. Gorge Lopez. So I have a little bone to pick with Gorge Lopez. I don't think he'll ever see this, but if you are, is that what he does all the time? Okay, Gorge. Listen, I like Gorge's comedy. I'm gonna put that right now. All right, I enjoy his TV show. In fact, I'm actually rewatching his sitcom. Right, I was bummed out when it was announced that it was gonna be off air. I was kind of nerded out when he went on TikTok and I came across his, the song that he has where I don't know if he owns the rights or something because he uses it for everything, but the Low Rider song, right? I cannot, feel sympathetic with the whole idea that he comes from like a ghetto background with cholos. Even though I did grow up in what you consider a ghetto, I was never hood that way, right? I was never with the low riders and saying essay and tying my top thing and undoing the other ones and like, no, I never did that. I'm sorry, right? That's not who I was. So from that stance, I don't have nothing now. I'm like, oh my God, he speaks to me. It doesn't take away from the fact that, hey, I enjoy some of the comedy, punches he has. He's funny. But here's the bone that I have with Mr. Lopez. In his show, I realized, maybe I didn't realize it way back when, right? When I was growing up and I was watching his shows, his sitcom, maybe it wasn't in front of me like that. It wasn't top of mind, but now it is. And what is that? Well, Mr. Lopez casted pretty much exactly what I just said Mexicans support all the time. And that is the lightest of skin of Mexicans, right? Those that hardly look like Mexicans. And if you don't believe me, this is his entire cast. Starting with Maciela. I'm sorry if I chop up your name. She's actually, she plays in the show Carmen Lopez, right? The younger daughter. She's actually Albanian, right? And everyone else you see on here, again, they have some Mexican descent, but if you look at them, they look fairly white. I'm going to say that, right? Now, yes, Gorge, he stands out like a sore thumb, like this side, sore thumb looking color. Yes, right? But again, it goes with the idea that once one of us, like, darker skin, not as attractive, makes it, it's like, okay, bring on everyone that maybe has by like a checklist, like qualifications, but you don't really look Mexican. I'm sorry, you hardly look. And that's kind of like, again, the bone that I picked with this guy, right? That he's so like hey, orale, and this and that. And he's always, trying to make it sound like he's so hood and, wachate and stuff like that. And it's like, the comedy stuff. And hey, listen, allegedly, according to my wife here, he looked at some of his what he's done, and it looks like he's done things for the community. Again, great, awesome. That's I'm not arguing that. Maybe it's something subconscious. In fact, this is his wife, right? This is who George married. Nothing against the lady, by the way. Her name is Ann Serrano Lopez. Now, actually, I guess they divorced, right? Does she appear to be Mexican? And you say, really, dude? Well, he has to marry a Mexican? No, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, usually, it's kind of like, show me who you're surrounded by y te diré quién eres. That's another Mexican saying, right? Dime con quién te juntas y te diré quién eres. It's a lot of that, right? That's just, some of the things that they're hard sometimes to say out loud to people. And they're hard for people to say them, period, because they make people uncomfortable, right? Especially now, it's like we're supposed to be so open and all this acceptance. And listen, I'm all for that. But it doesn't mean that we ignore some of the things that maybe we are choosing to ignore, right? A lot of Mexicans say, how come we're not this? And how come we're not that? And how come we're not bigger? I mean, all it takes is for you to look at the mirror and ask yourself, how much really do you care? Let me ask you that right now. How much really do you care to support, the everyday, looking Mexican, the Mexican that people make jokes about, doing lawns and doing your construction? How much do you care to support those Mexicans? Right? It sucks because again, it's a very common problem. It's a problem. At least to me, it's a problem, right? I believe it's a problem. And I think it's something that we can all get over. I think it's something that, at least for those of us who are willing to see that there is a problem. Maybe you don't agree with every little point that I just made, but you're like, yeah, I guess JT, there's some validity to what you're saying. Together, I think we can move forward and supporting each other more, right? Showing not just showing it for, Cinco de Mayo, which is not, by the way, a real Mexican holiday, unless you're, in Puebla and stuff like that. But, other than those holidays that it just pops to the top of your brain, or maybe because you're seeing it in your social media, how about we support each other more, even when we don't look, again, like the Chris Hemsworth of Mexico. When we just look like you and me, we like tamales, so our bellies resemble it. And, we don't need a tan, baby. We're born with it. See what I'm saying? Anyways, that's it for today, guys. It's just something that I wanted to leave you guys with. Other than all the craziness that's happening in the world. Just, some, food for thought, call it. All right. Thanks for watching. And until next time. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching the JTH show. Remember, you can catch all the episodes, full episodes, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. You can also visit www.thejthshow.com to catch episodes there and to catch anything that we had to blur out because of YouTube or any other platform. We usually put all of our raw information in there that is uncensored. You can also become a member at www.thejthshow.com to catch all the special perks. Thanks for watching.